Castle, and welcome to another installment of Every Life is Precious. Today my guests are Julie Brenner, the Executive Director, and Lauren Smith, who is the past President of the North Oakland Community Coalition. And they're going to tell us about how the organization got founded and some of the activities that they are working on to help especially the youth here in the community. So Lauren, tell us a little bit about how the North Oakland Community Coalition got started.
In 2007, Michelle Novak, one of our high school counselors, saw a need in our community and brought together several community members interested in working toward creating a healthier community and climate for our teenagers and families within this community. After several town hall meetings, we did know that there was an interest in the community, and the North Oakland Community Coalition was born at that time. We were sponsored and mentored by the Troy Community Coalition, and the coalition has just grown from there. In the past 6 years, our coalition has grown from just being a tiny, small nonprofit in the Lake Orion community to really expanding and serving additional communities in the North Oakland community, which we are very, very proud of. We are most proud of the work that we've done, but have had some help through a large grant we've received through the Drug Freeze Community Program through the federal government.
Yes.
So, seeing a need in our communities, I think, has been probably the biggest thing, and then having community members with our own children and families was probably the most important thing in bringing us all together to start the coalition.
What is the prime need that the Community Coalition is addressing?
We focus on basically three substances. One is the reducing underage drinking and also reducing marijuana and prescription drug abuse in the community.
Tell me a little bit about this prescription drug abuse problem. I've seen a little bit about it in the newspaper. What's the impact here in the North Oakland area, in the Lake Orion area?
Prescription drugs are actually one of the key areas that the federal government's starting to focus on. It is actually as dangerous. It comes in second to marijuana use. So one of the things that we are doing, and we do promote through Oakland County Sheriff's Office, is our prescription disposal, and it's called Operation Medicine Cabinet. So one of the ways is to get all the community members to learn how to properly dispose of the extra medications that are typically around. So reducing that by emptying your medicine cabinets with expired medications and things like that will actually help the kids, divert them from possibly abusing them in some way. It's very dangerous. We've lost children to taking things that they don't understand and aren't technically for them. So it is illegal to take medications that are not prescribed to you. So we are trying to reduce that.
Okay, and what is the magnitude of the problem here in the Orion area? Have you done any study or anything like that?
We take a lot of data out of the Michigan Profile for Healthy Youth, which the high school does every 2 years. So that data is showing that there's a rise in prescription drug abuse. We're also members of the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, the ACHC, that's based out of Pontiac, Michigan. There's 14 coalitions that are part of that. And they did a study with all of the coalitions. And we do have information on our website about the actual report, and it is rising here in Oakland County.
Okay, yeah, you talked about Operation Medicine Cabinet. If somebody who is watching this has some expired prescriptions, well, I was supposed to take it for 30 days, but I got better after 20, so I'm not taking it. And really it's no good. What would they do to get rid of those prescriptions, those drugs?
There is a drop box at the Orion substation. I believe it's 2525 Jocelyn Road, and they are open and have it available with an officer from, I believe it's 9 in the morning until 4 p.m. at night, Monday through Friday. And they can go there and in sealed Ziploc bags and drop that type of medication off.
Okay, so let's make it simple for the folks at home. Somebody has prescription drugs. They don't bring in that bottle, that container that they got from the drugstore. You said they have to do?
They can. They can. They can bring in the prescription bottle within a Ziploc bag. It needs to be contained so that you can drop it into this drop box.
So that they put their pills, or with or without the container, into a little plastic bag that can be sealed.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what they then bring to the sheriff's substation
Correct.
there at
Right.
Orion Township Hall.
Yes.
Right. And we know we have sponsored drives to make sure that we get the word out for our community members. We certainly want additional medications that are no longer necessary or being used out of the medicine cabinets. We know that that is the first place that many young children or teens will go to access medications or prescriptions that don't belong to them for substance abuse. So we will host drives as well, special days where we'll have advertisements, but that drop box is there all year long, and it is secured. It is the safest place to be able to dispose of medications.
Now, I suppose if people got a pet, and their pet has been prescribed drugs that they got from the veterinarian, they should dispose of those in the very same way.
Correct. I think the other angle too, outside of trying to keep our youth safe, is also it's an environmental concern as well. When you put it in the toilet and flush it, it goes into our water systems, and there's a negative impact from that piece
Absolutely.
too. So we're kind of covering several areas.
Yes.
Right.
And if somebody suspected one of their kids or a neighbor's kid had gotten a hold of some stuff they shouldn't have in the area of prescription drugs, what are the telltale signs that somebody would look for?
There's several, definitely behavioral changes. Definitely if you are noticing things are missing, if the kids typically won't tell you, you'll notice things that are different, whether it's a hygiene issue or they're not surrounded by the same friends, they've changed their friends, things like that. If you see them behaving any different way, that's alarming. That's something with any drug, really, including alcohol. That's
When you say
something to pay attention
behaving differently,
You might see definitely a change in peer group. Friends that they used to be around that you would consider positive peers, you may see those friends not being around as much. You may see different friends that you don't know. You're not as familiar with the families. You would see behavior change regarding school. You may see a student.
like what?
Well, a student who may be typically performing good grades, doesn't have a lot of tardies or absences. You may see a reluctance to go to school, or you may see they're going to school but they're not performing, their grades have been dropping. You may see a child who has been an active participant in the family and has been typically a happy-go-lucky young person. You'll see an attitude or a shift in that behavior as well. And you may see all of these signs, or you may see a few of these signs. I think we would always caution you as members of the coalition, but also as parents, anytime you see a change in your child's behavior, it's something to be aware of and to try to gather more information about that. We want you to know that the coalition doesn't provide direct counseling services, but we can certainly be a resource for you to steer you in the right direction. And there are many, many, many agencies and counseling services within the Lake Orion community, the Oxford community, North Oakland County, that we can certainly steer families to gather information to help.
So if a parent suspected that Johnny was now on to something that he shouldn't be on, how would they contact the North Oakland Community Coalition?
Great question.
We have a website. It's noccmi.org, or you can call us at 248-520-3786. And also we've got email access as well. We do have a lot of resources on our website, including contact information on whether it's calling specific social work agencies or law enforcement, different things like that. So the information is there on the website, but we'd be happy to take your call as well.
And I'd like to add too, when you see a change, or as a parent or community member, you may suspect something is going on. As a parent, I would always recommend too, contact your child's school. You know, if you're seeing a change, maybe your child's teacher is seeing a change. There are counselors in our school who may be able to provide additional resources or information, and that's another great place to start if you have a feeling that something isn't quite right. So.
Okay. So aside from the prescription drugs, I think you mentioned there were other things that kids like to experiment with or try out. What are some of the other things that people should be aware of?
There are a lot of new drugs that keep popping up, and we did address about 2 years ago K2 and spice, and removing those off the shelves in our area, thanks to the great work of the Lake Orion Police Department and Oakland County Sheriff's Department. So they're new things that come up. Synthetic marijuana. Marijuana is a big one as well, and because of all the different changes in laws and things like that, it's increasing, and the perception of risk is decreasing for some reason within our youth. So we're paying a bit more attention to that. And there are other new things that come up. The internet is an interesting place for kids to be able to go on and find things that are excessively dangerous. And they find them. Whether or not they're in our community, we unfortunately find out when there's a tragedy. But it's, I think it's a good thing for parents and community members as a whole to be aware of what is out there. And we like to provide the information of things that are sort of mainstream right now, what's happening. Another area is definitely alcohol. Underage drinking is prevalent throughout the United States and definitely North America. Within Oakland County specifically and Lake Orion, it's actually declining. Underage drinking has declined since 2008 when we started taking a lot of data, which is a wonderful thing. Parents are paying more attention by equipping parents to stop their children from drinking is a good thing. If you're not 21, you shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Also, the police departments have definitely stepped up their efforts, and there are things like minors in possession, MIPs, and there's also social hosting ordinances that are putting the adults at risk, basically making them liable for providing for youth in their own homes. So those types of things across Oakland County for sure have really been helping people understand that there's a reason for these laws. There's a reason why it's 21. And we'll talk a lot about brain development and things like that. It's important to give our children the best shot that we can. So by removing things and enforcing our laws, there's a reason for them. So.
And I want to be careful too, Joanne. The coalition, our mission is very clear. It's about healthy communities, and we talk a lot about our kids and our youth, but we know these are family issues, and these can impact seniors, these can impact people my age, these can impact college age students. It's not just our high school students or middle school age students. It really is impacting families across the whole age spectrum. So we want to be sure that people know that it's not a target to our youth that we're just focusing on. We tend to be able to gather more data on our youth, and we do a lot of work with college age students, but we know that any type of alcohol abuse, drug abuse, whether it's youth, seniors, middle age, that can impact a family very negatively. And our mission is about having healthy families and a healthy community.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go back to this marijuana issue. And I'm sure that you people are seeing an increase simply because the voters in the state of Michigan adopted a few years back this medical marijuana law that says if you have a medical need for marijuana, that you can have so many plants in your house and you can have it. And we have seen from stories in the newspaper how people seeking to make a profit have taken advantage of it and have abused it by setting up dispensaries which are not allowed under the law and doing other things. What impact has that had among our school-age population?
I can tell you one thing that I think hits home clearly is when we take an illegal substance and we say, well, it's going to be legal for this population, it really does desensitize our youth that it is a harmful substance for them. And there is so much research out there about the damage that is done when we have people using marijuana and their brains are not fully developed. And when you look at the latest brain research, and it talks about developing brains continue to grow until about age 25 to 27, we are harming by allowing, promoting, saying this is okay, giving this perception, and our youth really take that law and make their own perceptions with it. So our youth, we do have a huge battle ahead of us, because even in homes where families are saying this is not okay, and they're very clear, and parents are very vocal about drug use is not acceptable and here's the reasons why, there is a perception by youth, well, if it's okay for people who are sick, why isn't it okay for me? And I think that is one of the biggest challenges we face is our youth is really becoming desensitized to the dangers that marijuana has for them. So,
Is the use of marijuana among the youth growing, or what is the current trend?
Growth. It's actually on a rapid increase. Definitely, I think in the last 2 years, it's increased within our area up to 20%. So that to us,
20% of the youth
are
using marijuana.
Yeah, the 30-day use is up at least 20% in our area.
What do you mean by 30-day use?
When they're surveyed, they are asked a specific question, within the last 30 days, have you? And insert the different substance, and in marijuana use across Oakland County, it's drastically increased over the last few years.
and as that use increases, as we ask our teenagers about, do you view marijuana use as risky, the percentage of teenagers who report that as yes has gone down significantly. So we see a direct correlation between that.
And from the coalition's perspective, we acknowledge that there is medicinal reasons for it. It's doctor, physician prescribed. But when it comes to youth use and the effects on the brain, et cetera, we're definitely attacking it as much as we can across Oakland County. So with that being said, we do have an event coming up on October 10th with internationally acclaimed expert Kevin Sabet. And that will be held at the Oakland County Intermediate Schools. The information is on our website, and the entire community is more than welcome to join us and listen to the truth and consequences about youth use.
Okay, so you say this is on October the 10th.
Correct.
Which I would take to be a Wednesday.
Thursday.
Thursday,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's a
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
At the Oakland Intermediate School District.
Correct.
They're on Pontiac Lake Road.
Right.
Just
Correct.
west of Telegraph.
Yes.
And what time?
5:30 until 8, and that will include a light dinner. The charge is $10 per person to attend it, and we have definitely over 250 seats. So we'd love to fill them with local community members that are concerned about what's happening with our kids.
And who is the speaker again?
Kevin Sabet.
And what's his background?
He's a drug policy expert that actually worked on drug policy under President Obama. So he is currently the leading expert in this area. So we brought him in with the other coalitions through the ACHC that I spoke to you about a little earlier, with the opportunity for us to dialogue and truly understand how it is impacting our kids.
And so who should attend? The teenagers, the families, both?
It's targeted mostly at community leaders.
Okay.
Where we basically have opened it up to all the community leaders, and they've all been invited personally by the coalition within North Oakland. And
When
as
you
well,
say community leaders.
we've invited the school board, township, village, police officers,
Yeah.
all those people that have a direct influence on all of the principals from all of the schools in Lake Orion Community Schools and Oxford have all been included. We've been given that we can invite up to 20 people within our own community.
Right.
Again, there's 14 coalitions, so that's a lot of people. And then from there, we've taken upon ourselves on the board to include a lot more. We've expanded it because we'd like to see more people there. Teens are more than welcome to attend. Anyone younger than that, I think it would be something
Yes.
that would be a little too much for them to process. But at the same time, it's important information for parents to come and see this. And we are taping it, so we'll be able to provide that link after the fact if you're not able to attend on that night.
The event is called Clear the Smoke. And again, I think for parents who have an interest in learning more, or maybe even have a perception that it's not as dangerous as they say it is, or this was something that I may have used 25 years ago.
And look at me, I'm okay.
And we do hear that a lot. I will tell you, we do
Not
hear
the
that a
same
lot.
thing.
It is not the same thing, and it wasn't okay back then. And I want to say that it wasn't okay back then. But we're really dealing with something that's very different, and something that's much more potent, and something that is not as pure. And certainly our kids don't know what's in the makeup of marijuana today or in prescription pills. So I would really encourage our parents that are listening or community members that can't attend this to make sure they check out the Coalition website and view this presentation. It's certainly going to be informative, and then be able to make their own judgments after at least hearing some information.
And to tie into that as well, this is one piece. So we're coming together as 14 coalitions. After that, it's the call to action from that is on November 13th. We have Judge Karniak with 52nd 3rd District Court, who also does part of our court night in February. And her specific topic for that is marijuana. So we're bringing her in with a panel of experts to talk about marijuana and the legal consequences. So it's not just, it'll be from a mental health perspective all the way through to when you're standing in front of a judge and what happens then. So we think that's an important opportunity for community members to come to the table and dialogue with the people who deal with this type of abuse.
And this event with Judge Karniak again is when?
November 13th.
November 13th.
November 13th.
Where?
Orion Township Library.
At the library?
Correct.
At what time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Correct.
So,
Mark your calendars.
Yeah, it'll be good. But it's a great event, and
It
it
is.
gets local people that can't attend something like this.
Yes.
This is a great opportunity for them to dialogue and ask questions that they're concerned about. That, how do I look for this? What does this look like? And we do bring in law enforcement to a lot of our events and have them explain to parents that do attend how and what to look for. So I think tying those both in together, then it'll be definitely be a more powerful prevention exercise.
Well, and I think as a parent, it gives you an opportunity, because you don't always get that opportunity to talk to law enforcement and to talk to judges. And when the police officers have in front of you, here's all the paraphernalia. So if you see these items in your home, that's very powerful. It really can hit home for you that I've seen this in my house. Now I know what it is. Now I need to decide what my plan of action is going to be. You don't get to talk to judges and ask questions about, oh, you mean this is what's going to happen, and how much are the fines? I mean, people need to understand how serious this issue is, not just the health consequences, but also the legal consequences, although the health consequences are so much more severe. So.
and when you're not dealing with marijuana and alcohol and prescription drug abuse, what do you do in your spare time?
Well, we also tackle tobacco use, and then we do a lot of community events. We like to participate with the community. We look at coalition work as a community mobilizer, so being able to support other organizations in their efforts as well. So besides all of that, and being a part of the Drug Free Communities grant, we're quite busy.
Yeah, we do work pretty closely with Washington, D.C., which is really nice, and SAMHSA. Julie is our executive director. We have several paid employees. We're very proud how the coalition has grown. We're very proud of our volunteer base. We have so many volunteers in our community. We also have a Teens in Action group, which is based out of the high school, and that group has been quite powerful and growing. But it's impactful in the community, and I don't want to say it's a hobby as well, but I think we're also invested in it, and our families believe in it, and you might often see us at a high school football game and at different events in the community because we are so passionate in what we believe in. So.
And I understand you have another event coming up on the 1st of October.
It's our 4th annual prayer breakfast. It's actually one of my favorite events that we have. And this year we have Orion Township Supervisor Chris Barnett is coming to speak about youth. And we have several prayers that we do, every one which you've actually done for us before, so thank you. And that is at 7:30 until 8:45 in the morning at Orion Township Library. And we have breakfast this year being sponsored by Great Lakes Bread Company, which is a new business in the area. So we're thrilled about that. So you can register online. It's on our website as well.
And it's open to anybody in the community who wants to come.
And that is a wonderful event. We started that 4 years ago to bring the faith-based communities together and not just one religion, because the coalition is built from all 12 sectors. We need to have everyone from medical to police to our schools to business owners, health, and the faith community. And it's been wonderful, and what a great way to all come together and then have this opportunity to pray for our youth and to pray for the leadership in our government and to pray for the leadership in our schools, and that our community agencies are working together in our community nonprofits. So it's a wonderful time.
Well, I want to thank you both, Julie Brunner, who's the Executive Director of the North Oakland Community College, and Lauren Smith, who is the past president, for coming and sharing with us all that you're doing to promote a healthy lifestyle for our teenagers here and their families, concentrating on, let's cut down on the abuse of alcohol, of marijuana, prescription drugs, and other things like that. And again, their dates coming up are October the 10th. You have the event at Oakland Intermediate Schools.
Correct. Clear the smoke.
And then on November the 13th, you've got Judge Karniak, who will talk about the consequences if you do use and abuse.
Yes.
And, well, again, thank you, ladies, for being with us today. This has been another installment of Every Life is Precious. And I just invite people who are listening to check out the website of the North Oakland Community Coalition and to watch for the danger signals, because, as we say, every life is precious, even those of teenagers who at times may not be model citizens. So thank you for watching.